Hello, ladies and gentlemen, loyal Imperial citizens and rebel scum alike. Welcome to another Leah Maiden gameplay video, back with more Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes today, where we're going to be taking a quick look at the 5 best first Zetas. So in other words, where I think you should be spending your 5 first Zetas, the first Zetas you get in the game. Emphasis on free to play. Let's take a look at number 1 on the list. Bastila Shan, specifically Bastila Shan's leadership ability of initiative. Now, Bastila Shan is one of the most important early characters I would say to get in game. Not only is she crucial to unlocking Jedi Knight Revan, and he's definitely one of the legendaries that you're going to want to go after kind of as soon as you can, but she's also, other than Jedi Knight Revan, probably the best Jedi leader in the game, especially early in the game and for squads of all Jedi. And this is largely down to getting that Zeta on that leadership ability as soon as possible. So let's take a quick look at what initiative does, why it's such a great Zeta. So basically, once you've powered up initiative with the Zeta, you're at level 8. At the start of the battle, Jedi allies gain 15% turn meter and protection up 200% that can't be dispelled. Jedi tank allies taunt, and while Jedi allies have protection up, they have 150% tenacity and deal 35% more damage. Now, the main takeaways from this are 200% extra protection, the extra tenacity, and the extra damage. What this does is it transforms otherwise kind of lackluster Jedi teams into real powerhouses. They're real teams of attrition. It turns into a war of attrition that you have to slowly grind away all of this additional protection before you can beat them. Now, that's really important at the beginning of the game, where you need a good 5-person Jedi squad to unlock Grandmaster Yoda, for example, but it can also be useful later in the game, even after you've used Bastila Shan to unlock Jedi Knight Revan, where you can use her as a leader for your defensive B tier or second tier Jedi team. Again, it can take a lackluster Jedi team, it adds in all of that additional protection, and suddenly what wouldn't have been any problem at all becomes a real challenge to cut through. Time and time again, I see people underestimating my B squad Jedi led by Bastila Shan in Grand Arena because they're just not prepared for that extra protection that they have to cut through. Number 2 is Darth Vader. Now, Darth Vader, of course, received a rework earlier in the year, and man, what a rework. It took this character and transformed him into a real legendary. In fact, a galactic legend killer even. And Merciless Massacre, this new ability that he was given, is where you're going to want to spend your Zeta. Now, Vader, of course, is unlocked through kind of milestones, achievements, as you move through the beginning of the game, and it can take a while, but I would imagine by the time you've got your second or third Zeta to spend, you're going to have him unlocked and in a decent star level. I suggest Merciless Massacre, this new ability that he was given in the rework, is where you want to spend it. Basically, what this does is it transforms Vader into just a whirlwind of destruction. It's activating beast mode. Think that scene at the end of Rogue One where he's in that corridor just slicing through all those rebel troopers. That's basically what it enables you to do in game. It does 2 things. First of all, it gives Vader a bonus turn. Secondly, it puts Merciless on him, and then it puts Merciless target on every enemy. He basically gets an extra turn attacking each enemy. You get a free turn when you activate Merciless Massacre, and you get to attack every single enemy in front of you. It ignores taunt, ignores any other special effect that they have on them, which would mean that you couldn't target them, removes stealth, and then he can just go through and attack every single enemy in turn. It is awesome. It's literally a team killer. He can use this to single-handedly take down teams, and it completely transforms this character from, yeah, okay, a pretty decent Sith Empire attacker into a must-have beast soloer for many teams and many events. Merciless Massacre, Vader, that's your number 2 Zeta. Sticking with the dark side, we got Papa Palpatine, the Emperor himself, coming in at number 3. Now, you've got a couple of Zeta options on Palpatine. He's obviously a legendary. He's going to be one of your first legendary unlocks along with Grand Master Yoda, and the place that you want to be spending that Zeta, and this is going to be probably your second or third Zeta spend because it is a really good one for early in the game, is going to be on his leadership ability, Emperor of the Galactic Empire. Now, this gives huge bonuses to Empire and Sith allies under Palpatine's leadership. Now, at the beginning of the game, you're probably only really going to be using this for Empire because you're not going to have a whole lot of Sith. And in fact, I would say before we had the introduction of Piat and Moff Gideon into the game, Emperor Palpatine was hands down the best leader for the Empire faction. And I think he probably still is the best overall leader because Gideon and Piat are so focused on the troop elements, the Imperial Trooper tag. So Palpatine is still going to be your main leader for your Empire squad. And look, he just gives all of these bonuses, 35% potency, 35% max health, and then if you're attacking Jedi or Rebel enemy, they have decreased potency and decreased evasion. He's also feeding additional turn meter to Sith allies and additional health to Empire allies. Early in the game, Empire is a great squad to potentially introduce to Squad Arena to help counter all the Phoenix squads that you're going to come up against. There's going to be a lot of those. Also, of course, you need an Empire squad to unlock R2-D2, again, one of your early legendary unlocks. All in all, this is well worth your investment at the beginning of the game. You want to get on this one soon. Number 4 is noticeable because this is going to be the first and in fact only Zeta recommendation on this list that is not for a leadership ability, and this is going to be for Grand Master Yoda. Now, I've mentioned him a lot before already because we're dealing with the beginning of the game and we're dealing with free to play. Now, in that case, Yoda is quite possibly going to be the first legendary that you unlock. All you need to unlock him are 5 Jedi. You get 5 Jedi very easily at the beginning of the game, especially if you've gone after Bastila Shan because you're planning ahead and you're looking for that Jedi Knight Revan unlock. Eventually, somewhere down the road, you're gonna unlock GMY pretty early on. Now, the Zeta that I recommend you put on Grandmaster Yoda rather than his leadership ability is on Battle Meditation. Now, the reason that I don't go for his leadership ability is because, well, we've already mentioned it. You've got Bastila Shan, and you're going to be going for Jedi Knight Revan. Now, Yoda, Grandmaster Yoda is great on a lot of squads, a lot of light side squads, Jedi and also Galactic Republic. He's great under Bastila Shan, he's great under Jedi Knight Revan, and he's great under Padme. I don't think he's a great leader. I do think, however, that his Battle Meditation makes a real difference in game. So Battle Meditation gives Yoda tenacity up and protection up at 30%. He gains foresight for 2 turns. Then he grants each ally every non-unique buff he has for 2 turns. He also grants himself 35% turn meter and an additional 10% turn meter for each living Jedi ally. Ladies and gentlemen, that is amazing and makes Yoda a brilliant addition to any Jedi squad. Honestly, he's one of the best early unlocks that I think you make in the game. And once you've unlocked him, you're going to continue to find utility for him. As I mentioned, he's great with Jedi Knight Revan, great with Padme. He's got a lot of synergy later in the game too. And honestly, he hits like a truck. Do yourself a favor, unlock him, and throw that Zeta on Battle Meditation. Now, my 5th and final first Zeta recommendation is for Gnotion Brood Alpha. Now, this was a difficult one. There were lots of options here. Kylo Ren Unmasked leadership ability was almost on the top of my list. This almost made it in here, but ultimately I went for Gnotion Brood Alpha, and the Zeta that we're going for, if you're familiar with the Geos, if you're familiar with Brood Alpha in particular, you're going to know the Zeta that we're going for here is Conscription. And the reason that I chose this over a lot of the other options, including Kylo Ren's awesome leadership ability, which really does transform your First Order teams, is that Conscription totally transforms the team of bugs. It totally transforms Brood Alpha. It basically takes this team from being, a kind of interesting potential team that you've got a little bit of a war of attrition against them, into, if used correctly, an unstoppable war. Now, Brood Alpha is a little harder to get than some of the other characters on this list, which are all clearly early unlocks. So this list isn't necessarily in order. I do think Bastila Shan is probably your best, safest bet for your first Zeta spend in the game, but I do think that if you're going to give one to Brood Alpha, he probably is going to be the 5th one that you give. If you can give it sooner, then definitely do, but he's probably going to take a little longer to unlock. But when you do, as I said, it is so worth it. It completely transforms this team. Conscription is where you're going to spend your first Zeta. Don't go for the leadership ability. So in fact, a moment ago, when I said that Yoda was unique in that he's the only one that I'm not recommending the Zeta on the leadership ability for, that was a complete lie. Totally forgot. You do ultimately want to put a Zeta on Brood Alpha's leadership ability, but it doesn't want to be your first Zeta. Your first Zeta for Brood Alpha wants to be on Conscription, and this is why. Conscription. Dispel all debuffs on Gnotion allies. Summon a Gnotion Brute to battle if the ally slot is available, or if a Gnotion Brute is already present, he gains critical damage up and offense up for 2 turns. Then, all Gnotion allies gain 15% turn meter and recover 35% health and protection. Awesome. The best thing about this is that auto summons. So Conscription is an ability that Brood Alpha uses and is going to use throughout the game. But by having this Zeta, you guarantee that at the start of the game he automatically calls a Brute, and that Brute is going to taunt. So you automatically, right at the beginning of the game, have an extra character, a 6th character, who's going to be there taunting, ready to absorb damage from the rest of the team. And that taunt is going to stay up. He can keep calling back that taunt, and in fact call back the Brute whenever he gets killed, assuming that the ability Conscription isn't on cooldown. So you're constantly going to have this buffer, this taunt, distracting damage away from your otherwise squishy Gnotion allies. It is amazing, and it's one of the key abilities that really makes these Gnotions a wall and makes them so useful in Grand Arena, in Squad Arena, in raids and territory wars, basically everywhere in the game. You can check out my video. I used them to unlock Padme Amidala, both 5-star and then the 7-star unlock, and I simply could not have done that without this Zeta. It's a great investment, and that's why it earns the number 5 spot on my first Zetas list. There you go. That's it. The Liam Aiden gameplay top 5 best first Zetas for free-to-play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. That's a mouthful, but it's worth it. But what do you think? What were your first Zetas in the game? Maybe you're getting prepared to spend your first Zeta in the game. Who are you thinking of powering up, and what do you think of my list? As always, comments, criticisms, and suggestions welcome down below. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey today. If you enjoyed this video in any way, please consider giving it a like, a thumbs up, and why not subscribe to the channel. I drop new Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and Marvel Strike Force videos every week, and I have no intention of stopping as we end 2020 and move into 2021. I'd love to have you join the channel. Thank you so much for your support and for watching this video today. That's all from Liam Aiden Gameplay for now. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, look after each other, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.